Welcome to the Breaking Average podcast, the podcast designed to challenge you to break the mold that average has on the world. Each episode offers insights directly from those who choose to break average every day. Now for the latest insights, here are your hosts, Paul Gustafson and Barry Smith.
Welcome to the Breaking Average podcast. I am here with Barry once again, and we're having a fantastic season 6. And we've been talking a little football here. We talked Gibbs last week, and now we've got another football story to share.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And
Once you unpack it.
Bigger than football.
Bigger than football.
Much bigger than football.
Yep.
So, you know, this has been a lot of fun. You and I are both big sports fans, and, you know, speaking into this topic, trying to pull something besides just the game itself, right? Pull some leadership lessons and life lessons and so forth. And so we have been having a great time. But the original question we kind of posed to each other is, you know, what are some of the big sports events that have impacted us in our lives? And certainly, we talked about Brady. We've talked about the Olympics. I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff. Just immediately came to my mind, not so much because it was on the playing field, but because the playing field evolved really into, you know, absolutely the United States, but even globally. And this is something that everybody became aware of. And it was earlier this year. It happened on a Monday night. It happened in Cincinnati, and I know about half the people watching or listening here have figured this one out. But January 2nd, I know you were sitting somewhere in your house with the TV on. I know I was on my recliner, and I think my wife had already gone to bed, and I was just sitting there watching Monday Night Football. And I'm sure you've all figured it out now, but Damar Hamlin makes a tackle. And I'm watching the game, and I see him get up and immediately just fall backwards, and I'm like, man, that was not right. Something is not right. Mm-hmm. And so I know, you know, I'm sure most everybody knows kind of the rest of the story, but the reason it was so impactful for me, it's kind of, I suspected something like that would happen at some point in time, you know, just a violent nature of the sport and the strength and the speed these guys are moving at anymore. My gosh, it's changed so much, you know, over the decades here from when we were kids watching. They're bigger, faster, stronger. And so, you know, it's inevitable, but to see it finally take place. And it was kind of a strange thing. It wasn't really a violent hit. And kind of fast forward to what really happened. It was a cardiac event. A very rare cardiac event, and we'll get into this too a little deeper, but I found out that this is something that has a 97% death rate if not treated within the first 3 minutes, if not treated within 3 minutes. Wow. And I thought, wow, you know, and really a testament to the medical crew, you know, not just for the teams, but for the city of Cincinnati. Everything took place. But the reason this was so impactful for me is because it really brought a divided world together, you know, certainly much greater here in the States, but, you know, even beyond that, it unified humanity. You know, a simple event of a guy going down on the field, the emotion of, you know, what could have been the end for him. And just to see what the players did, see what the commentators did, what they said, how they acted, how they responded. And then, of course, what followed up over the weeks ahead. And thank goodness, you know, he's recovered. He's been cleared to play. You know, it won't be too many months now. We'll see him back on the field. But I just remember just feeling stunned and being in a place of not knowing how to respond, not knowing how to act, not knowing what to do. And you could just see everybody involved with the broadcast. And they did a phenomenal job, you know, from Aikman and Buck in the booth, you know, clear on through everybody later on that evening on ESPN. But it was just something we hadn't done before, hadn't been through before. The coaches, you know, with Sean McDermott for Buffalo, and I think Zach Taylor for Cincinnati, you know, the decisions they had to make, there's no precedent for it.
Yeah.
And so it's something that we got to watch unfold live. And I was captivated. I was stunned. I was emotionally spent. I mean, just fill in the blanks, feeling so many emotions. And, for I think 4, maybe even 5 hours, I just sat there glued to the TV, hoping somebody would tell me how to feel, what to do, how to act.
Yeah.
And it was just something that was just, hopefully we'll never go through that again. But the fact that the first on a local level, first on the field, everybody came together. The stadium, everybody came together. The community of Cincinnati came together. And then, really everybody came together. Damar Hamlin had a little nonprofit organization, and I think he had a GoFundMe going, and he had about $2,500 in there, and within 10 days it was up over 8 million. It's been over 10 million now that he's going to be able to use, working with youth and doing some amazing things there. And it's just people coming together not only to fight for him and his life, but to fight for his cause, fight for what's right. And when there's so much diversity right now in the world we live in, wherever we're at, to see something like that, there's a lot of power in sports. You and I talked about it not too long after that, and to watch them say a prayer on ESPN, right?
Yeah.
On live broadcast TV. People they followed their heart, they followed their gut, they just made decisions, based on what the right thing was. Not that they were absolutely going to do everything right, but they were going to do the right thing, and they did. And again, thank God that Damar pulled through, and hopefully, he'll have a successful career in the NFL. But man, I'll just never forget that. I'll never forget that night. Just amazing, and certainly the days that followed. But why does it take, in reflection, I'm like, why does it take something like that to bring us together, as a community? Cool. That element of it was awesome. But why does it take something like that? Why does it take a, potentially life challenging, threatening event to bring people together? And so I say that question rhetorically because I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know why it takes something like that. It shouldn't. Yet here we are. So, Mr. Gustafson, maybe you have some answers to that question.
I'm still blown away by it, Barry. January 2nd, the man, his life was gone.
Yeah.
The life was knocked out of him. And I'm not trying to say that to be funny at all. I felt like we just saw somebody passed.
Yeah.
And to see that team come together the way they did, and then the other team joined them. They all mingled. This wasn't about football anymore.
Yeah, there were no colors on that field.
They were praying for a brother. I went back and watched the YouTube video. They tried to do CPR at least 2 times on him, at least 2 times. And that trainer, good thing, man. Our first responders, they don't get enough credit.
No,
they really don't. This wasn't about football. This is about a community coming together. This is about the world. Maybe just football fans come, more than football fans. I really, my wife was touched by it, and she knew about it before I did. I went and tuned in right away because I didn't see the actual play until I went to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? And I first went to the Twitterverse to see it. Within minutes, the world knew, like, players down. He may not make it. Stephon Diggs going to the hospital afterwards. Wanting to be with his brother. His uncle had a quote. It's phenomenal. I forget his uncle's name. He says, a lot of people don't see how much they're loved when they're alive. To see that he has a chance to eventually recover and see all the love he's gotten, it's going to mean a lot to him.
Yeah.
And that really stuck for me because I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. We have an opportunity with people all around us. They're hurting people. They, they didn't get knocked out. Their heart stopped, but they're getting knocked around, and they're emotionally knocked out, right?
Yeah,
And we talked about this a few weeks ago when we were in Colorado, Barry. We get an opportunity to speak life into people.
yep.
We can give CPR through the words we say, not physical CPR. You know what I mean, right? We can speak life and speak into people while they're still living. Love people. And I think that's what what really touched me again about that night was the humanness. There was only a few people that I really got upset with who said, just play the game. Like, no, this ain't about the game. This isn't about the game. This is about you and me and all of us and why we're here, and the impact that we can make on this world. It's not about football. And so that prayer, the whole world came together when people prayed. That's what I saw. And the power of prayer is just wherever you're at. I mean, there were people who aren't strong faith, religious people who prayed that night, who just said, you know what? I'm going to pray. I'm going to be next to these guys here because they're hurting. I'm hurting. We're all hurting. Prayer brings us together. That was the big capture I got at. And I'll give credit, Ryan Clark, who was on Van Pelt show afterwards.
Yeah.
Man, he touched my heart that night. All those guys were fantastic. Troy and Buck and all those guys were great. But what Ryan had to share, I wish I had the words. So powerful.
Yeah. I mean, again, he's the whole world was captivated by this. And then even look, even for the rest of the games of the season and in the playoffs, just that unifying with the number 3 and and it didn't matter what team. Everybody came together. Everybody was doing whatever they could. I think, I mean, let's be honest, most people have probably gotten back to life as usual now. But there's some that haven't. There's some that maybe now have a stronger mission in making a difference. Certainly, the work he's going to do with his nonprofit is going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it'll just bring more awareness of what some of these players are so blessed, and the opportunities they have. Maybe some of the fan bases will come together at a higher level. I mean, there's going to be positive fallout from this event, forever. Can you really measure it? It's hard to measure something like that. But it changed. I think it did change, although we've gone back to, kind of where we were,
Yep.
Day to day. But I think it did change. And I'm sure we'll hear about it. And when he hits that field this year,
Yep.
oh my gosh, there's just going to be shouts of joy everywhere. And I think on every NFL field, because the only thing that made it different for Buffalo than any of the other teams is it happened to one of their guys. But everybody playing that sport knows the reality of it. And I think, attitudes have probably changed. But I love the way you framed it up, man. We have an opportunity to speak life into people now while they're alive, while they're doing something. Who was it? I think was it Churchill that said the most valuable place on earth is a graveyard, cemetery. All the things that never happened, all the things that never got said, all the books that never got written, all the the relationships that were never had, all of that. And so here we are, can maybe use this as an example to say, hey, we don't know when that final day is. Why are we not making the most out of every day we have? And I think, you and I think we can honestly say that we try, we work on that, but I know we can do better. I know there's more that we can do. And how do we stay focused on those things? We've talked about this, opportunities right in front of us. I kind of threw that challenge out there on the last episode of, find somebody in your world that you can, I like the way you put it, speak life into, right? Because there are some hurting people out there. More hurting people than probably non-hurting people. And so we have the opportunity to be someone that can speak life into others, man. And so I know we're kind of going beyond sports with this one, but this is the reality of it. We're here to serve one another. And there's no better way than to believe in somebody encourage them, equip them, empower them, words we use here a lot. But those opportunities are there, man. We gotta be watching for them, and then we gotta act when those opportunities come knocking. Gotta open that door, brother.
Yeah, man. So I'm going back and looking at a couple of my quick notes on that day too, as you're sharing. It's bringing back. It's interesting as we talk about it, because again, we've gotten numb over the last few months, but as we're sharing about it, it's coming back. And I mentioned Ryan Clark a moment ago, and he said, this is what he said on national television. He looked at the camera and he said, "We all feel this one.
Yeah.
We all feel this one." And I thought those were the most powerful 5 words you could say at that one, in that moment. And that picture of the team just huddled around praying. As I mentioned earlier, prayer matters, guys. It really does, because it brings us together. And I would just encourage us with that. And again, Stephon Diggs going there after the game, as I mentioned a moment ago, phenomenal. I mean, let's go to our brothers who are hurting. Let's support them. Maybe it's a simple thing, guys. Maybe we can just send a text to somebody, say, "Hey, it's been a while. I'm thinking about you. Just letting you know, man, you're on my mind, praying for you." Just encourage, pour courage into somebody. And it starts with letting them know, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you." It's better to take the opportunity to do it while they're living than wait until they're gone.
Yeah, I can't imagine ever being sorry for doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is necessarily a faith-based message. Certainly we're talking about prayer, but the other element of what took place was again the unity, to see everybody come together. And it didn't,
Yes.
religious beliefs, it just that didn't matter, right? People were just there for each other. You could see, I'm sure between those two teams there was all types of faith and
Mm-hmm.
beliefs, and just as much as is anywhere, and yet they were all in it together. They were all there together to support Damar. And that's the way we should live. That's the way our culture should be, our community should be. And
Yeah.
so, man, we just we got to be. One of the things I've been kind of convicted of over my personal development, journey, especially here in the last decade, is the idea that if you're not part of the solution, you're really part of the problem. And I've
Mm-hmm.
had some conversations with folks who are working in the diversity and equity field, and said, "Hey, I don't feel like I've ever been necessarily part of the problem, but what can I do to be more part of the solution?" And it goes with just everything. There's so many challenges out there that need help, and we can be a help to that, whatever the issue is. And
Yeah.
I don't think, and I know you'll probably agree with me, none of us do enough.
Yeah.
There's always more we can do, and that's where we become that agent of change. That's where we can truly make a difference. And so regardless of your religious beliefs, whether you pray, you don't pray, look, there's challenges in your community that need help.
Yeah.
There's people in your community that are hurting. And
Yeah.
so, man, just reach out, lend a hand. Random acts of kindness, man. Do one every day. It'll make you feel better. Promise you.
Yeah, man. This is so powerful. A month after, first of all, let me just unpack a little bit of that story. And again, it just bears just a couple of things to repeat. Many of us, many people, I'm going to say us, even people with faith, woke up the next morning wondering if he was going to be gone.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that he was going to survive. There was high reality that he had passed on that field, and they found a way to get a pulse back going, but were they going to be able to sustain it? What was going to be the impact to him mentally, physically? Fast forward 5 weeks later, an NFL honors event, and he comes out on the stage, and
Yeah.
everybody stands up for that. The same people that were kneeling on the field praying for him were now standing and cheering. Were they cheering for him? Yeah. But were they cheering for something more? They were cheering for life. And I went back and again, I'm looking at my notes. I tweeted that night, February 9th. This is after the NFL honors. Never give up. We are all miracles when you think about it. There are moments that could have taken our breath away. Let this story, the Damar Hamlin story, remind all of us that there's still hope.
Yeah.
Hope. And so when we started this call, I put Damar's name and I put the word hope. And I love, the heart that he does thing and, the number 3. And he said something really interesting. He says, every morning, Barry, every morning I wake up and this is recently, every morning when I wake up, I take 3 deep breaths. I'm like, dang, that's pretty good. I like that. And it's just a realization like, wait a minute, here we are in this moment. We can think about yesterday and get stuck and caught up in what happened and not take advantage of the opportunity that we're given right now. You and I have talked about it, right? Kung Fu Panda. Yeah, yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here yet. Today is a present. Today is here now. That's why they call it the present.
Yep.
Take care of now. Take those 3 deep breaths. All right, what do we got? Let's do it. Situational awareness. We have opportunities. Maybe it starts after those 3 breaths. We take time to pray. Again, this is not a faith episode here. This is just about realizing, taking stock of where we are in life and making the most of what we have. The tomorrows will come. Let's take care of today.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know what tomorrow holds, so why worry about it? Why, we need to plan for the future. I get it. Right. But what we can really control is what's going on today and make the best decisions we can. And I don't want to, I don't want to miss over again something you touched on real lightly, but along as well in the awards show, I remember he brought up the staff from the hospital as well to honor them.
Yeah.
And just another shout out to our first responders and medical staff. I mean, good grief, everything they went through during the pandemic, and then things are kind of finally getting back to normal, and then things like this happen, and it's just it just never ends for them, and just so much respect for what they do. Just thank you, first responders, medical personnel, professionals. Thank you for all you do for keeping us safe. I mean, that's most of us will need that type of attention at some point in time, some type of emergency help or somebody really qualified to dig in. Again, this was a very rare condition that Damar had, and just crazy, to think that here's a well-conditioned guy with 25 years old, and just in a prime of his life, and things can happen. No previous signs of it.
Yep.
So hey, it doesn't hurt to go see the doctor every once in a while and just make sure you're all good.
That's
I know
right.
I'm going through that right now.
Yeah.
And, thank goodness there's no big concerns, but you never know. You never know, right? And so we've got stuff to do here on this planet, and it's a little hard to do if we're not around to do it. So
yeah,
thank you to our first responders, and listen, everybody, you got work to do. Keep yourself in a mental space to be able to do that work.
Yeah. We have life. I'm going to tie something that it's not sports related, but it just ties in so neatly, and I love what you're sharing. I just saw last night a documentary called Still, Michael J. Fox. It's on Apple Plus.
Wow.
And if you guys don't know who Michael J. Fox is, hello.
Where you been?
Yeah. But Back to the Future, Teen Wolf, Family Ties, right? And a bunch of movies. Parkinson's. He's got Parkinson's. The dude is just a few old. His birthday is the same day as mine. He was just born 5 years older. Okay. So I'm 5 years younger than him, but he has Parkinson's, and his diagnosis for Parkinson's was like 1990, and he held it for 7 years. Didn't tell anybody really. I mean, a few people knew, obviously his wife knew. And And that's the story I want to kind of pull in because it ties in with the Damar thing too. Tracy Pollan, his wife, um, and forgive me if I mispronounced her name. I know she was one of the actresses in Family Ties, and obviously they fell in love, and she's been there every step of the way with him. And I'm thinking of Damar's mom and his family, his uncle and others, and his teammates. They're there too, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can be there for others too. We're all going through some kind of struggle. We all have stuff going on in our world, guys. And seeing that show still and going back and replaying what happened here with Damar Hamlin, we need to be there for folks and seeing how he's endured and he's maintained a positive attitude. Why? He's got life. He's not gone yet. He's still curiously optimistic. He maintains that optimism. And it's not fake. It's not false. It's not some facade. He's genuine. And you could see it with his family. His son was on the show, Sam. His daughter, I forget her name. One of the other daughters wasn't in the scene, and his wife Tracy. And they're just laughing in the kitchen, and I'm like, wow, sees what we have, sees what's there. Damar, he's smiling when you see him on TV now. He's still giving the hearts and all that. And he's seizing life. Carpe diem, sees the moment, sees this moment right here. And so I'm just like, I'm inspired by that kind of stuff. I love it when I see people persevere. They never give up. They just keep going. And that's something that I think we all need to pay attention to and just follow that example, because when we persevere, it's going to inspire somebody else.
And I think sometimes when we see something like that take place and we see all these professional athletes and they're on TV and all names that we recognize, and the platform they're on, we kind of feel like, oh man, I wish I was them. I could do something like that. But this, I know, all the prayers, all the support, all the encouragement, everything that took place. You don't have to be a professional athlete for that. You don't have to have huge dollars in your bank account to do that. What they did, what any of us did, any of us are capable of. And sometimes we kind of think we need to be resourced at a higher level to help pour into somebody else. No, I think we got pretty much all between our head and our heart. I think we're fully resourced to go out and make a difference with the people around us.
Oh, amen to that. Amen to that. And it's what's cool is Damar, Michael J. Fox. I mean, we could pull any of us, any conversation of these different folks in there. Humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Damar coming out of high school, goes to Pitt, plays at Pittsburgh, and he just wants to pour love back into the community. You talked about the toy fund thing. And like, that's pretty powerful. Just that reach out, just take what you've been given and love other people, encourage other people, find ways to be able to spread that hope on to other people, I think is really important.
Yeah, hope's a great word, man, for sure. And what I found interesting, we're only a couple days away now. Think about this for a minute. We're not even able to celebrate his 2 years with the Buffalo Bills. We're still about a week away from the 2-year anniversary of when he signed his NFL contract.
Oh, that's right. He's just a young
think about all that's happened in his world in just a couple of years. Yeah. Life happens quick, man. It happens quick. We blink and it's by us.
Yep.
I love the carpe diem and seize the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this has been really kind of our hope episode. It's so great just to see how hope is something that can be communicated and shared, and can bring other people in when we share it, and we do put those prayer requests in. And again, I'm not trying to make this super religious or anything like that, but just recognize, call on other people. If you're struggling, if you're going through a challenge, just call on other people, let them know, hey, look, I'm going through a bit. It's just going through a little thing right now, and appreciate your prayers. If you could just pray for me or encourage, I don't know. It's hard for me to hard to ask for, hey, can you encourage me? But just say, hey, look, I just want you to know I'm going through a little bit. Or maybe you just have somebody in mind that you're thinking of. Again, reach out to them, let them know. So it's kind of getting in my tip and challenge here, Barry. I mean, there's so much more we could unpack on this thing, but I think the story is still being unfolded as far as Damar Hamlin, our story, but it's just like us, right? Our story is still being unfolded. We're not done yet.
Yeah.
Whatever success and achievement you've had to date pales in comparison to the opportunity that's still in front of you. And so take this moment, take this day, take the word gratitude and make that something meaningful to you. And because there's always something to be grateful for. And sometimes we just got to look for it. I know it's hard. I know some days are tough, but we just got to look for it. So with that, I'm going to encourage you to share a tip and challenge for folks just to find that courage and taking those steps forward.
Yeah, my tip, I mean, there is another side of this, right? So for the last, I don't know, however long, 30, 40 minutes here, we've talking about adding value to others, just being able to encourage, look for those opportunities. But the other side of it is basically the reality that some of the folks listening right now or watching right now are the ones hurting. Don't be afraid. The tip is, look, it could be you. Right. Could be you that's the one hurting that needs to reach out and have somebody come alongside you. Paul, I lost a brother to suicide a couple of years ago. And, things maybe could have been different if he would have been willing to reach out and say, hey, help. He certainly did that, but there was that one instance when he didn't. And things could have been different. So the tip is, look, we all go through it. We all go through tough times. And the challenge is, look, be confident enough in yourself to just reach out to somebody and say, hey man, I just needed, I just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Just need kind of a shoulder to lean on right now.
Yeah.
We're all none of us escaped this. I know you're going through some stuff right now with the family, and we all do. And I know from the time we shared with some good brothers here a couple of weeks ago, we all there was none of us, 17 of us guys, and not one of them didn't have something going on in their life where they could use a little support. So just be willing to reach out and just grab somebody, a friend, family member, coworker. There's somebody in your life that will listen. Don't go through it alone. You don't have to. Shouldn't have to. Don't do it.
I love it. It's good stuff. So the tip and challenge that I'll share too, and Barry, this will jog your memory as well. You and I and others saw a movie recently, a rewatch, a classic, The Gladiator, right?
Yes.
It's such a good movie. And there's so many great points we could pull from it, but I'm just going to share one. There's a line that's shared several times between Maximus and I forget his friend that he meets along the way, who saves his life, by the way. The hunter, who I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
He's one of my favorite characters in there beyond Maximus. And they're talking about the loss of their family. And they make a statement early on, and the phrase is not yet. Not yet. Meaning that they're still here on this planet. And while there's an afterlife, then they want so much to be with the loved ones that are gone. They realize they're here now in this moment. And it's not yet time for them to go. The time is here for them. The purpose that we live in is in this moment. You, my friend, are fully alive right now. And I love that not phrase statement because again comes up later, right at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert. Maximus passes, but it's a triumphant. I mean, the way he passed, it's just an incredible moment. But afterwards, his friend is bearing some of his trinkets to represent his family and honoring Maximus. And he says something about his wish to be with his family too. But then he says, but not yet. Not yet. And he says that really for all of us. It's just a reminder, guys, not yet. Take advantage of what we have. Damar Hamlin's still with us. God hasn't taken him home yet. Not yet. Right here, right now. Keep living that. And here's what Damar shares. He says, when you put real love out in the world, it comes back to you. It comes back to you 3 times as much. There's that 3 again, 3 times as much. The love has been overwhelming, but I am thankful for every single person that prayed for me and reached out. We brought the world back together behind this. And if you know me, this is only going to make me stronger. So whatever you're going through right now, whatever you're going through, whatever obstacle it is, might make you stronger. Not yet. So that's my tip and challenge.
There you go, man. Well stated, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I know that was kind of a little bit different than what we typically do, but I think that needed to be said. It was a monumental moment for me of just going through something. I like to say you got to do something you've never done before to become someone you've never been before. And I think the same goes true for, going through things that we haven't been through before. It changes us. Yeah. And I think in all of that, we can just be inspired and should be inspired by what's possible, right? The word that you use in love is hope.
Yes.
And it just, I just can't help but bring that back in right now, that there's hope, man. There's hope. But we got to be the hope dealers, right? we've all got to act. We've all got to act. Hope is there. Hope is real, but it takes people to come together and fill in the blanks to make that hope a reality. And so that's us, folks. We're the ones who got to get it done.
Well, think about it, right? You can't break average unless you pursue what you hope for.
There you go.
You just can't. So it's average or less than average if you don't pursue that hope. Hope is there for you to realize, there's potential. There's something here. I'm going to go seek it. I'm going to go pursue it. Yeah. So, so much here. I'm just writing notes down as you're sharing. So, hey guys, we just love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching and listening to this podcast. Be sure to check us out on the breakingaverage.com website. And Barry you are a great coach. And again, we talked last week about the invitation for leadership. And I would say that that invite's there for all of us to lead. So look at those opportunities for leadership. Those moments happened that night on January 2nd. I saw leaders in a different role, whether it was the Scott Van Pelts or the Troy Aikmans or the Ryan Clarks or just people around the water cooler speak in a different way, just communicating the importance of life and the desire to make an impact and the calling and coming together through prayer. I thought that was powerful. And look for those moments to lead like that. They're there. They are there. And that's how we break average.
It's amazing what we're capable of when we have the opportunity and the need to really step up. You should think about that. I'll leave you on that note, my friend.
It is amazing to think about. So step out of that comfort zone for sure. Go make a difference. Guys, thanks for watching. Barry, thanks again. Man, I love your thoughts, and this is fun.
You got it, man. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Breaking Average podcast. If you loved what you heard, please take a moment to subscribe. This show was produced by R Squared Multimedia. All opinions and comments expressed in this podcast are those of the participants and do not reflect the opinions or views of any of the advertisers, producers, or platforms. As you continue your day, what is one action that you can apply from this podcast to your life? Tune in for our next episode as we continue to challenge everyone to break average.
You lead it. You go ahead.
No, I'm not doing that.
All right, here we go. Crack me up, man. All right, good job, man.
Oh, no, you good job.
So there's only one thing that took place that was kind of weird. My network, did you see the network go wonky?
Yeah, kind of a little bit, but I wouldn't sweat it, bro. I kind of saw you freeze up a little bit, and then I could see you kind of looking like. So I don't know. I'll have to see what the recording looks
I was
like.
checking my network. Yeah. All right, we'll see what it is.
All right, I know you got a hard stop, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
You got it, brother. Peace out.
All right, thanks, man.
Bye.